the Lewis Ferrari link has probably been around since, this whole decade. I remember people talking about it all of the last decade, maybe since he joined F1. But this was the first time he'd ever really openly addressed it and spoken about it. And while it's a great thing to think about, Lewis going to Ferrari, I think the Max deal has probably moved it into a situation where it's more likely that Lewis stays with Mercedes, gets quite a nice deal from them, and sees out the rest of his career there. And with Leclerc getting that Ferrari deal as well, that pairing, Lewis might have apprehension about it, and Ferrari might say, well, what if we're already paying Leclerc big money and we are going to replace Vettel? Let's not get in somebody else. So what do you make of that?
The length of the Leclerc contract as well says a huge amount, because Lewis is not going to commit the next 5 years of his life even to Formula One, let alone one team. So if he went to Ferrari now, he'd be in a position, and we didn't know this when we were speculating about the meeting with John Elkann, and perhaps even Leclerc and Ferrari didn't know where they would end up when we were doing that speculation. But to go in against another driver who's got a 5-year deal, you're basically accepting that you're not the long-term future of this team, and there'll be so many little kind of difficulties there in managing it. And I think having experienced what they experienced with Vettel and Leclerc last year, really, what have Ferrari got to gain? I suppose the answer to that is Lewis Hamilton and the marketing benefits that come with him. But remember, Ferrari is probably the only brand on the grid that can exist in itself and not worry about...
Was never worried about the brand.
No,
it's
exactly.
never needed to promote the brand, has it?
The reason it's in F1 is basically it's only proper marketing that it does. You never see a Ferrari poster in a magazine. You never see a Ferrari advert on the TV because they do Formula One. So it is very much a marketing thing, but it's about the team. It's about Maranello. It's about the history. The drivers, and Enzo Ferrari, the founder of Ferrari, was very much of this opinion, are just employees. They're not the thing that you build it around. Whereas a company like Mercedes, Renault, Red Bull, it's all about shifting, cars out of factories and Red Bull cans off shelves. And so someone like Lewis can do that very effectively. Ferrari don't need to worry about that. Their order book is already full. They need to maintain the image of the brand, but potentially having Lewis there for 2 years probably isn't going to make a huge difference to Ferrari long term. So there's all these little things, and I would love to see Lewis go there. And I think actually there's something in Lewis where he really is toying with the idea. I really think, well, certainly he was at the end of last year.
And that's the fascinating thing is you hear so many drivers. I remember seeing, it was Jenson Button doing an interview, and so many drivers, when they were asked post-retirement, what was your biggest regret? So many of them say, I wish I'd driven for Ferrari. Yeah. There's just something about that team. And I think you're right. I think there's, at this point in his career as well, we're talking about him and Schumacher. From a fan perspective, how amazing would it be if he broke those records for Ferrari? He'd become an instant legend. They might be upset he's broken Schumacher's records, but if he ends their wait for a championship, he's a legend. He's a legend at Mercedes, but he's also, you'd argue you'd want to be if you had to be a legend at one team, it would be Ferrari, wouldn't it? Schumacher is just synonymous with Ferrari. And if you could say Hamilton, Ferrari as well. So I hope that pool's big enough that we at least get this extended time where we're still talking about it. I'd love to see it happen, but I think a lot of the points you've brought up are sadly probably going to sway him in the other direction. And also, that Mercedes setup for him is perfect. He's got that great setup with Bottas, and even if Russell comes up, Russell's going to be in a position where he's the future of Mercedes long term. They're not going to put him in situations where he's at war with Hamilton, like you said. Won't be there super long term, unless Lewis suddenly gets a second win. He wins an 7th, 8th championship, says I want 10, but I can't see that happening with him.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.